Hi, thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Natalie Clack from Just Be Coaching Company in Johannesburg, South Africa, your moderator for Mink Life University today. Thank you for joining us live tonight. And if you're listening to this recording, thank you for taking the time to listen to us. Welcome to the second in the series of self-care symposiums. We will be live Sundays, 1 p.m. PST, 11 p.m. GMT +2, and 9 p.m. in the UK. These symposiums will help you to calibrate your life. So I'd like to activate your zone of genius through romantic partnerships. And with this, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Style and Substance Group Incorporated. You can find them on www.styleandsubstancegroup.com. They guide and support you, their client, through the complex process of selling and investing in property within the greater Los Angeles area. Tonight, our speakers will advise you how to unlock the power of your own potential through self-care and your romantic partnerships. So, to create a great change in the world. I would like to welcome to the floor Denise Belil. She's a certified positive intelligence coach, certified functional medicine health coach, a certified health coach training, and business owner of Denise Belil in motion coaching since 2012. She has 40 years meditation experience and is a Reiki master since 2018. Welcome, Denise.
Thank you so much. A pleasure to be here. Thanks, Natalie.
It's a pleasure. And we would like to also introduce Irina Srunina, and she's the founder of Smart Moves 360 LLC, health strategist, cooking coach, educator, active life advocate, and speaker and trainer. Welcome to the floor, Irina.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, and welcome you to all this spot that we are joining together. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for hosting me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. And welcome to our audience for joining us too. This is a very interactive session, so please feel welcome to pop your questions in the chat. So first and foremost, I would like to open the floor to Denise. Will you please be so kind as to tell us why understanding your romantic partnerships is so important?
Well, I feel that understanding your romantic partner is important because if you want to be happy with the person you're with, you need to understand what's going on in the relationship. And too often this is lacking, and that's where many people end up in divorce. So by understanding first, you have to understand yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to love yourself first in order for your partner to love you. So that's why it's very important first to know and love yourself and understand how you function in order for the other person to be able to understand you and to be able to have a great, fulfilling relationship. So it goes both ways. You have to love yourself, love your partner, and understand one another so that you can have a long-lasting relationship.
Well, that's very powerful. Thank you for that. And Irina, can you tell us, why is understanding your romantic partnership so important, would you say?
Well, how I look at it, first of all, of course, I agree with Denise. It's so important to love yourself. So when you valuing your own qualities, when you are proud of what you are, the other people actually see and feel it, and your romantic partner obviously now sees your value. But when you are doubting yourself, when you are not sure, when you're really criticizing yourself all the time, eventually your partner will start seeing your qualities that you maybe don't even have, just imagine. So it's so important to value yourself, to enrich those romantic partnership relationships.
Well, that's very powerful. So as you say, hey, it comes right down to what's going on inside your own head and your own heart and your own mind, hey, as to just how well your romantic partnership moves forward. That's awesome. Okay, so tell me, Denise, if you wouldn't mind, how can our guests activate their zone of genius by focusing on their romantic partnerships?
Well, to activate your zone of genius is to know the word that came to mind is tickle you. You need to know what tickle you. You need to know what excites you. and to be a curious person and find out the same in your partner. What is that is exciting in your partner? Be the investigator, become the genius in your relationship, and look at what you like, and then look at what your partner like. And in order to blossom your relationship, do more of these things, do more of what your partner love, and then you will become the savior of your relationship. You will be the one that will allow the relationship to blossom, because you will have tapped into your zone of genius by creating the spark between you and your partner.
Well, I like that. Hey, all about fun and excitement. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
tell us, Arena, what's your view on how our guests can activate their zone of genius through romantic partnerships?
Well, I look at it this way. Starting from the previous question, if I value myself, if I'm not suffering from this criticizing myself all the time. So I am enjoying life, right? And I'm not asking from the partner to love me for something. Just who I am. And it's not that everybody could be your partner. It just happened that those two people met and they uh, see each other in certain light that really lightens up their way, lightens up their room. And so when this happens, when you recognize what you are capable of, this person, your partner, who also already values some of it, they see it more clearly. And when two people looking in the same direction, wearing the same, those glasses, it helps you to really shine brighter. That's how I think.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Hey, so all that excitement, that enthusiasm, and that spark just makes magic. Hey, I
Absolutely.
like that. Okay, tell me, Denise, what one tip can you give our audience to activate their zone of genius through romantic partnerships?
What is what one?
One tip.
A one tip. Well, I could give you a lot more than one, but I'll give you one.
Well, we've
Um,
got enough time for five.
I'll give you a couple of tips that I feel is important, is to activate your zone of genius in a relationship. Is the first one is remember when you first fell in love with your partner. What is it that tickle you? What is it that excites you? What is it that you guys were doing that was exciting? That was like the you couldn't stop talking about that person when you first fall in love. Remember those moments. Remember the things you used to do. Remember the talk you used to have. Remember the long nights. Remember the you could talk all night, and remember those conversation, remember those excitement that you had, and now look at where you're at today, and what stopped you from being there, what got in the way, what is it that made you not be so excited anymore. So when you go back there and when you look at those situations, then you're able to have a new perspective on what it used to be, that what you used to like. And now the second tip is, now think about what is it that you're focusing on your partner right now. Are you focusing on this quality that you used to love and cherish? Are you focusing on all that, or are you focusing on the fact that he leave his dishes on the table, or in the fact that he doesn't want to take out the garbage, or on the fact that whatever that is not positive? So think about that. You have to feed the side of that person that you want to flourish. You want to feed that side, that excitement, in order to get, the more excitement and positive in your life. Because what you focus on, you get the more of it. So these are two important tips. Remember, and then look at where you put your attention.
Oh, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense, eh? Because it's all about your expectation What are you
Mm-hmm.
giving as opposed to what you're expecting to receive? And
Yeah.
are you in the friendship zone? I like that. Okay, Irina, tell me, what would you say? You can give us 2 tips too. What would you give our audience as tips to activate their zone of genius through romantic partnership?
Well, first of all, we're talking about partnerships. So there are two parts to it, right? Two people in these relationships. And there's one thing that I'm trying to remind myself in any kind of relationships. Uh, if something irritates me, if something not pleasing me in another person, it means that this something, it's not necessarily that everybody sees that, but I am noticing it. And I am noticing it because I have somewhere deep inside of me some of it too. And sometimes we are being so irritated, so upset about particular part that the partner is doing, but when you look deep inside you may find that this is actually you who has that, and
Mhm.
that's why, and you're not happy that you have it, and but because you have it and not happy about it, it again it doubles. So the second person represents the same thing, and then it's becoming pretty big, weight of this quality. So if you see something that other person does or has or whatever, look inside of you and try to find out where it's hidden in you, and try to start from yourself, fix yourself there, and that may actually have the chain reaction, and your partner will notice that you changed, and they may take an action, and without your participation start making
That
change.
that makes a lot of sense. It
Yeah,
really
I agree
does.
with that. That's for sure.
Can you tell me, Denise, just a spot on the side, what would you give our audience as a tip for recreating that magic when it starts to dissipate?
Hmm. I would say to work with. I like what Irina just said. That's one thing. Like you look, like one of the things that I'll be talking in my talk tomorrow is to look at what controls your own behaviors. Like what is, like I've talked about saboteurs and how we saboteur our relationship, and what are, like, listen to your own voices in your mind and listen to what you tell yourself, and the voices that are pushing you in different direction. Often in a relationship we'll have like a judge that is always criticizing inside your mind. What are you criticizing, yourself, or what are you criticizing your partner? It's like, oh, look at him again, he's picking his nose, or look at him again, like, but when you're in a relationship, after a while you just let go of your guard. You don't want to be the prince charming anymore, you don't want to be the princess anymore. You have all these things that are human nature to a point, but that are like, oh well, I've been with that person for 5 years, I can let go a little bit of air here, and I can, like, oh, it doesn't mind if I pick my nose. But these are things that you would never do initially, right? Like you would not do when you want to look good for your partner, and you want to be, the them to love you. So why does that stop? Right? Like, listen to those voices. What are you judging? And what Irina was saying is that, yeah, listen to what you're looking into the other person and what the feedback that you get back from that. But listen to those saboteurs, and I'll talk a lot about that tomorrow. But these voices are telling you things that is actually internal struggles. And then there's the other side, which is the sage. It's like, how can you be more loving? How can you be more caring? How can you be more empathetic towards that person? How can you be more curious about what they like, what they don't like, and why they react this way when you say something? Okay, why does that bother them? And try to have a conversation. So I could talk for hours again, but it's really exciting.
No problem. We really need these tips because goodness knows relationships come with a lot of issues. And as you say, as soon as you start letting that
I
guard
lost my
drop
sound.
and you bring in the judgment, oh, it's a challenge of note. Tell me, Irina, What would you say that our audience can do to put that magic back?
Mm-hmm.
Question for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I
please.
lost my sound again, so I assume that the question was
It's the
what
same.
Denise just answered.
Yes.
And
How can you put
my
magic back?
one, so one tip that I always like to remind everyone: the communication between two people, not waiting until your frustration becomes a big bomb. Something is not going the way how you would like it to go, let your partner know about it. Something is not working the way you was expecting, let your partner to know about it, because we unfortunately cannot read minds. And there is very often the situation is such that your partner actually out of the best intentions was trying to do what they thought that you will like or you would like to have, but they totally wrong because you didn't tell them.
Mm-hmm.
So the communication between two people will really, in my opinion, strengthen the relationships. And when there is a harmony, when there is a relationship, then the genius is coming out of both of them.
Yeah.
I
I
like
think
that.
I need
I
to
like that.
leave and come back because my sound is not.
Oh, that's too
I
bad.
don't hear you.
Okay, no problem. So you bounce in and out, and by the time you get back, I'll have your question ready. Okay, Denise, let's move to you for a minute. Won't you answer the question that's just come in? What tips do you have for single people who are building a business who want to find love too?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a fine balance because when you build a business, you're very busy. You have, a lot of stuff to work on. Often the hours are very long, but it's in life, it's all about balance. It doesn't have to be 50-50, but it's about allowing yourself to have that time, that special time to find your loved one and to find a person that would excite you and would make you make you the best person that you are by being the best person that you are, right? And I feel that it's really important that when you create that environment of being open and visualizing that romantic relationship that you want to create and um, work towards like visualizing what you want, write down exactly what you want, what type of person you want to see. I work a lot with the law of attraction, but before the law of attraction there's the law of vibration. So you have to vibrate, you have to align your brain with what you actually want. And we know that energy is vibration, right? If you don't know, well, you learned something today. Energy is all about vibration. And when you vibrate, when you create that energy inside of you of what you want to create in your life, which is part business, part relationship, sometimes entrepreneur, young entrepreneur, and or people that are starting new business, they say, I don't have time, I have so much to do. But then create that space where there is availability, that there is time, that there is option for you to find relationship, and visualize that scenario in your life, experience it, visualize the person that you want to be with. Like if you want to be with someone that is like, visualize someone that is not needy, that doesn't need your time all the time. Visualize someone that is independent and caring, so they will do their own thing while you do your own thing, and then they can be with you and be 100% with you when they are with you. These people are out there, but as one tips that is the most important in all of that is you have to be ready to date yourself first. And it goes back to loving yourself and understanding who you are, because no one can love you if you don't love yourself. If you say, oh, well, like, I'm not ready, My business is not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. I'm too whatever that is, right? Like I'm whatever you don't like about yourself. I'm too needy. I'm too this and that. So I would encourage that first, love yourself, accept yourself for what you have to bring in a relationship, and then go get what you want out of that.
Well, that's very deep. It makes a lot of sense. It sounds to me like there's quite a bit of work before you're going to get that manifestation on the right path. Because honestly,
Sometimes
if
it
you've got
comes
the
really
wrong
quick.
magnet going on, you're going to have the wrong attraction coming in.
Exactly.
So, Irina, if you wouldn't mind, please be so kind as to tell us, what tips do you have for single people who are building building a business, who want to find love too?
Okay. I wouldn't say that I am the best um, consultant on that topic, but the way how I look at it is, yes, it's important to pay attention to your business. It's important to pay attention to what you are doing and love what you are doing and dedicate as much time as you can. But at the same time, our life in general includes not only one thing, only our work. It's supposed to have all other components as well. So the personal part of your life needs to be taken care of. So, as Denise said, you got to be prepared mentally for it, but it doesn't matter how prepared you are if you don't allow some time for yourself, for relationships in general. It's not going to happen. When somebody is sitting all the time in front of the computer, there's no way that the love of their life will drop on their knees, just on their lap
Oh,
all of a sudden. You got to you got to find ways, and I'm not saying go to the bar. I'm saying that you need to get out of your house and see that life is around there. And the more sides of you will show to people, even on Zoom calls, the more, like the jam, you have many different plates on it, and you will sparkle. And when you sparkle, you will attract people because you are an interesting person. That it's not necessarily that every relationships will turn into romantic relationships, but you may actually form this way such a great bonds with different people who will see in you this and this and that, and eventually one of these people may become your romantic partner. It just, nobody is guaranteed there, but you got to show your other side as well, and you need to show up. This is the only way. You need to show up. Otherwise, if you just focus totally on one thing in your life, this is my job, this is my work, so what?
wow, I really like that. It makes a lot of sense. Denise, would you mind telling us where you suggest these single business people look to possibly start growing their reach and expanding their social skills so that they can perhaps start meeting people? Because in this new day and age, everything seems to be online. It's a lot more difficult to meet people in person.
Mm-hmm. Good question. I think that in order to attract the person is to not to force it. Because how many times have you heard of, either like whatever you try to force in your life, like a couple that try really hard to have a kids, and they're like, oh, we need to conceive, and they look at the time and the temperature, and we got to go right now, and nothing happened. Once they say, okay, that's it, like let's look for adoption, or let's give up, and what do you know, the next month they're pregnant, right? And I think it
Yeah.
works the same with relationship, and with the idea of the law of attraction and how you set your mindset is give it up to the universe, and then keep visualizing, but not forcing it. Whatever happen will happen. If it's meant to be, it will be. And just because when I feel from my own personal experience, when I try to force it, when I try to push and say, oh, I'm going to go meet people and I'm going to find myself a boyfriend, never happened. And when I found my boyfriends at times, right now I'm single at this moment, but when I found my boyfriend, whenever I had some, then it just came organically. It just, because I was ready, I was at the right place emotionally, mentally, and the person happened in my life. It could be at the cashier at the superstore. It could be, you never know. You could be walking into a store and you meet someone and you start a conversation and, hey, you want to go for coffee? And that person will show up in your life, whether you're a small business entrepreneur or whether you're not, So whenever, regardless of your social status as of business or not, I mean, it's like going to the restaurant. Let's say you go to a restaurant and you order your meal. You order your meal and then you stop thinking about it. You talk with the person you're with and eventually it shows up. And it's the same thing. Like, it's the same thing with romantic relationship. If you have to be convinced that it's going to happen, but you cannot control the how it's going to happen. Like, you don't know what they're doing in the kitchen and how they're preparing your food. And sometimes we don't want to know. But then you cannot control that. So what you can do is actually be, certain that, hey, whenever it's ready, the person that I need to meet will show up, whether it's a Zoom meeting, which I found, it could happen, a virtual networking event. It would be easier if the person was in your town and you head it off, have a one-on-one after, and then you say, hey, let's go have a coffee since we're local, instead of doing it on Zoom. And that could happen this way. You never know. You just have to let the universe decide and not force it. Because when you force it, a lot of time, it's too much pressure on yourself and too much disappointment because you have expectation. So let go of the expectation and just be yourself.
Wow, I really like that. Irina, what are your thoughts on that?
The question is very interesting, especially now when we're all locked in the places, right? But I am just looking, it's very similar to what Denise said. I'm looking at it, let it go. Don't put the pressure on yourself, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it is, your pressure is written right on your forehead. And it's eyes, it's in the way how you look, it's in the way how you act, and it's not natural. So being yourself, being open for conversations. And of course, it always helps if you are meeting with people who have some similar interests. Say, if I am playing tennis, very much likely that I could meet with someone somewhere on the tennis court or around tennis court rather than on the baseball where I'm never going and I have no clue how the game goes. So that's the way how I look at it. Arranged marriages are happening, and I have very good friends who had arranged marriage by their parents, but they would not go into this marriage until they felt something. So this happens. Their parents knew them, they knew their interests, and they, helped them a little bit. If you have somebody who can help you, don't hesitate. They're helping, take the help. It doesn't mean that it will definitely happen, but it might.
Funnily enough, that's a completely different perspective to arranged marriages to the one I had before this conversation. That's for sure. Thanks for that. Tell me, Denise, would you mind answering the question that just came in? What can you do to heal from past relationship trauma? What are your thoughts?
forget about it.
I
A lot of time
like
we carry that on our shoulders, like, and we carry that pain, we carry that hurt, we carry that I call that like a sticker. We put sticker on ourselves, which are negative emotion that we experience on a daily basis. And when we decide to keep one on, we just put a sticker. Oh, I have a painful ending relationship. My husband cheated on me. My boyfriend left me. Da, da, da. But if I'm going to give like a quick, I have a workshop, an exercise that I give to my clients. So I'm going to resume it really quickly. But the first step is take a piece of paper, an actual piece of paper, not a digital thing, because you don't like what I'm going to tell you to do with it. So take a piece of paper and write down everything that upsets you about that breakup, that past relationship. Like, write down, like, that guy left me, da da da, he cheated on me, this and that, and he left me alone with 3 kids, or whatever that is, your story is. Like, I'm broke, or whatever, he stole all my money. And it could be simpler than that he just left. I hope so. But if it's really bad, regardless of what that is, just write it down, write it down, write it down. Like 3 pages if you need to, or 2 paragraphs if that's sufficient. Then put that aside. And then think about what you just wrote. And then meditate on that. Meditating is just mean, for those that don't meditate, just close your eyes and think about that situation. Now, take a few deep breaths, and then think about how would you have liked that relationship to end, because you cannot go back. But how would you like a different story in regard to where you're at today and what happened? So think about that. What would you like to happen? Well, I
so
realized,
basically. Sorry to interrupt. So basically, how would you have preferred it to be?
yeah, like, for example, the relationship will still be a breakup, but how do
Yes.
you live without the pain? So you write down that story. How would you like the outcome to be? I left him because he was just a bad person, and I'm so happy now that I'm all by myself. I'm a better person. I have a better life. The kids are better off without that man. Regardless of what that is, I can always rebuild my fortune because I'm intelligent and I'm a genius, and I can't, doesn't matter what happened in the past. Like, you rewrite that story the way you would like to see it. It's not necessarily an easy exercise, but it's a great exercise to do. Then now you have 2 pieces of paper, and you have the negative story and the positive story. And then you reread it and you say, is that how does that feel? Does that land? And if it's yes, then that's great. You put it aside for now. Then you go outside. Don't do that in the house. You go outside and you take that piece of paper of the negative one, and then you bring a lighter, and then in a safe place, you do a little incantation, and you look at that story and you say, let's say he's John. So John, no offense to other Johns that are listening. So John, you served me well. You were there in my life to teach me something great. And I forgive you. I let go of that pain. I let go of that anger. And I'm going to let you go in flame and let the universe deal with this situation. And I don't need to have that in my life anymore. And then you burn it, put it in a metal bowl, and you let it go. And you send it love. You don't send it with anger. You send it with love. That story was part of me. That story was part of who I am. It served me for something. That's why it happened in my life. But now it doesn't serve me anymore, and I let it go. Then you go back in, you take your positive sheet of paper, and if you have to, read that every day. And then that negative feeling will disappear, and the positive feeling will grow and grow and grow, and you'll be healed.
Wow. Denise, that is powerful stuff. Please note we took notes. So tell me, Irina, what's your suggestion on that?
Well, first of all, Denise, I actually have done what you suggested. Uh,
Great.
I wouldn't say that it worked quite, 100% for me, but it gave me something to play with and to think about. But the way how I look at it, it's basically lessons learned.
Mm.
And it's hard to let it go, but I mean, you got to do the work. If this didn't serve you, you take all the best that you can from that experiences, the memories, the warning signs, all this, and keep moving, because you remember, you love yourself. You know that you deserve the respect, the love, the support, all that, and just go with that. It's hard, but it's doable, and we see a lot of examples how people do that. The main thing is just don't focus on pity me.
Mm.
Get all the best and move forward.
That's awesome. So basically, validate that you went through something that might have been a bit difficult, potentially find someone that can actually validate it for you and help you understand which parts you, which parts not, and then transform that pain to power and turn it into something epic.
Yeah. Well, you see, there is a thing that it I'm not suggesting for anyone you got out of these relationships, jump into the next ones.
Mm.
People need some space and
Closure.
to to accept what just happened, to analyze, to learn, to let it go, to get ready to be open for the next chapter of your life. And
Mhm.
sometimes people get hurt so badly that they actually close themselves in order to preserve from another pain. So that period also supposed to pass. And when they start at least entertaining the idea that maybe I could do it, maybe I deserve of love, maybe I deserve of partner that will respect and see me the way how I am, and I will not need to pretend something else. Uh, that's when the new chapter of your life begins. So, but first of all, let it go, learn what you could, and get ready for the next chapter.
Yeah.
I like that. And reach out to one of you ladies for a little bit of self-care so
Oh,
that you can really heal it, get it out there, and make sure it's no longer sitting inside, hey,
well,
creating chaos.
anybody you can talk with, because for some people it's you need to speak with the expert, and for some people you just need to speak, and
Absolutely.
whatever works for there's no rules like in stone.
Mhm.
That makes sense. All right, Denise, how about this question for you? This one came in. Is it possible to have it all, love and success in business? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't see why not. You know, because what like one person that I really like to listen to, and one of my mentors is Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins is pretty amazing talking about relationship, because he has a fabulous relationship and he's super successful. And look at Oprah, she's super successful and she has an amazing relationship with her husband. Like, and these are big people, but meaning that, yeah, you can have, run a very successful empire and have an amazing relationship. And I don't think these two examples, I don't think they're lying. I think they're actually really happy in their relationship. So if they can do it, you can do it. Like, it doesn't stop you. You just have to understand and have it's, and Irina said it earlier, it's communication, right? We said that since the beginning. It's communicate with one another, talk about your level of boundary, your level of this is work time, I have to do this, and if it's clear and understood why, and talked about, then the person that you're with will understand. And it's the same way for you. If you're with someone that has a business, you have to understand that when they are in work mode, they're not in cuddly mode, right? They're in the middle of doing something super important. They have like a 2-week project they need to work to. What are you going to do to support them, to elevate them, to help them being in their zone of genius, if we can talk about that, and give them some space if they need space. Be there to cater to them if that's what they need for the time that they need, to work on that project. It's all about communication, support, understanding, keeping boundaries with necessaries, and being there when the other person needs it. Because it's so easy to point the finger at the other and say da 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 da. But the old saying of, when you point one finger at somebody, you have three more pointing back at you, right? We all heard that. But what if you tend a hand? There's no finger pointing at you. It's all about giving, and it's all about helping, and it's all about being with the others and being supportive. So stop pointing finger. You don't do this, you don't do that, and say, how can I help? How can I assist you? And being more loving and giving. And I think that will work if, whether you are, running that business, or maybe your partner is running that business, or maybe you're running that business together, but you still need space. So just work together, communicate, and evaluate what's needed in order for both of you to be successful and still cherish your relationship.
Well, I think that's perfect, because that also comes down to the shifting of roles. Sometimes it's not necessarily about the woman does the cooking and the man does something specific. Sometimes if the one person's busy, then jump in and grab the reins and just help and support. I like that, because, when you're working on big bids and tenders and projects of that nature, you've got to literally channel your energy, focus deeply in order to actually get the job done. And it takes a lot of thought. So, you don't see what's going on around you. So I like that, patience and understanding. Tell me, Irina, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I just want to add to what Denise said, because I agree, it is possible, and communication is important. And what you, Natalie, said, that sometimes, yes, we are working on a project, we're so focused, we really have no more, bandwidth to take care of whatever other response. But if you have working communication, if you have this working relationships, that person at this moment actually sees you and sees what you're doing. And because you have relationships, they actually support you. Maybe the support at this moment is just to leave you alone, not
Yes,
Exactly.
don't interrupt you, because the sooner you will go through this project, complete that, you'll be free and open to help whoever and to do all that. So communication, absolutely. And people who know how to communicate, those are the ones who have success in business and personal relationships, in relationships with their kids, because they speak and they don't pretend.
Wow, I think that's awesome. Before we close off, Denise, please won't you give us your closing thoughts for our audience with regards to activating their genius through romantic relationships?
Closing thought would be to be the first thing that came to mind is not to be selfish, because if you want to be loved, you have to give love in return. Whatever you want out of your partner, and Irina brought that up earlier, whatever you want out of your partner, well, you have to be able to give it yourself. So if you want a partner that's more loving, caring, supportive, and this and that, are you loving? Are you caring? Are you supportive? Are you doing the things that you said you want your partner to do for you, to you? You have to be able to be open also, to be able to have communication, to be able to have exchange, and not be afraid to tell the truth. Because sometimes the truth is what's needed, and not just sometimes. It's much easier to continue on with the truth than try to remember your lies, because the truth is the truth. So just be honest with one another. Just if you have problem with intelligent communication, which is, instead of saying, you hurt me, you did that to me, well, say, I felt hurt when you said this. If you don't know how to do that, take some courses. There are tons of companies that are helping in interpersonal relationship to help you communicate better and talk about your own feeling instead of what the other one did to you. Talk about how you felt when that happened, and things should work out.
Wow, that's beautiful. It brings that song to mind, Meet Me Halfway. I like it.
Yeah.
Tell me, Irina, what would you say your closing thoughts would be for our audience with regards to activating your genius through personal romantic relationships?
In addition to everything what Denise said, I would also add that be yourself, because it goes along about this conversation is about not lying, saying the truth. If you are being yourself, you're open book.
Yeah.
There is nothing that you are hiding. The person is feeling safe with you, and therefore they will open their, heart, thoughts and all this. So, but when you constantly pretending that you are not who you are, eventually you will get tired of it. Eventually, this will come through. And then the person who was with you all this time will feel like you lied all the time. And it's strange how it happens, because it may be about very, very little thing, but that person who accumulated this kind of nagging feeling will be there anyways.
Yeah.
And one little thing was the last straw that broke this trust, and all those little things will become a totally different picture. And even though you worked really hard to be the person who you thought that person is expecting you to be, but they find out that they were liking or loving having relationships with very different person who you are in reality. So being honest from the very beginning, not pretending from the very beginning, is always helpful to keep those relationships going for a long time.
I love that. I love that. That's very powerful. I'm just going to leave you with one more question. One tip for keeping that magic and throwing it back in, Denise.
Don't go to bed angry.
I like that. I like that. Irina?
Say it again, the question.
The question.
How would you throw the magic back in?
Magic.
Yep. That magic that makes your relationship exciting for you when it started to slip. One tip.
Make a joke. Laughter is really healing a lot of issues. So find some humor and use it.
I love that. That's very powerful. And I'd like to thank our experts tonight for that awesome discussion. We have learned so many nuggets. That was very, very powerful. So Denise Belil from Denise Belil in Motion Coaching. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Very welcome.
And Irina, founder of Smart Moves 360 LLC. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us today. It was awesome to have you on our panel. And now, please, audience, will you note that there are a number of lectures and courses being held by Mink Life University tomorrow. So the Life Calibrator, which will be held with Irina tomorrow. This course will be between 7 and 8 a.m. in PT time, which is 7 p.m. GMT plus 2, and that will be 3 p.m. in the UK. It's also going to be on again at 5 p.m. PT, which is 3 a.m. GMT plus 2, and 1 a.m. in the UK. And that will be romantic partnership, deepening your love connection. We'll be discussing how romantic partnerships contribute to your personal success and your business growth. We'll focus on love, lust, and intimacy to calibrate your romantic partnership. And then tomorrow as well, we will have Denise Belil. Are you sabotaging your relationships? And she will teach you 5 steps to better relationships and will demonstrate the ways people can destroy their relationships and give you solutions on how to build healthy and fulfilling ones. Please join Denise Belil between 2 to 3 p.m. PST, which is GMT plus 2 midnight. And in the UK, it will be at 11 p.m. And if you'd like more information with regards to those courses and lectures, please go over to www.minklifeuniversity.com. And please remember to dial in same time, same place tomorrow evening, as Christopher Hampton will be moderating our business roundtable discussion. And that brings us to thanking our sponsors, Style and Substance Group Incorporated. You can see them on www.styleandsubstancegroup.com. They guide and support you, their client, through investing in the complex process of selling and investing in property within the greater Los Angeles area. And I'd like to leave you with our quote for the day. To whom you attach your life, can choose wisely. And that's from Monica Henderson, the president of Midlife University. And with that, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us and or for listening to this recording. Please join us again tomorrow and again on Sunday next week for more Activating Your Genius through Self-Care. So now is the time to activate your zone of genius. This is Natalie Clack from Just Be Coaching Company in Johannesburg, South Africa, the moderator for Midlife University this evening. Thank you very much for joining us.